Luke's going to get a chance here. I like these style of matchups, the flash threat decks versus the instant speed control decks. I usually play the control side of them, and it's typically not a good matchup, but I enjoy the gameplay of them a lot.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of Banned Spirits versus Jeskai Control, and I've enjoyed all of the games that we've watched.
Yeah.
Really cool decision trees, really on both sides. And the Banned Spirits deck, the way it gets to play, it's not like most aggressive decks where you're kind of priced into throwing all your threats on the battlefield. You have a lot of tricks. Collected Company is a big one, but then you look at stuff like Spell Queller, builds that play various amounts of Rattle Chains. There's only one Rattle Chains in Salvador's deck, but your Mausoleum Wanderers, also the fact that that's kind of like a super Judges familiar, really makes a lot of interesting interaction in these kind of matchups.
Yeah, one of the things that hurt Nikolic yesterday in this matchup was the fact that they've moved toward Settle the Wreckage away from Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, that allows the Spirits player to really pick their spots in combat.
Right.
Especially because they have so many instants. If they are in a situation where the Alpha Strike is going to win the game, they can just wait until they have the Mausoleum Wanderer or a Spell Queller to catch or Settle the Wreckage. That's not going to be no problem. Or they can just make attacks that play around Settle the Wreckage.
Yeah, we had a game where Luke was trying to set up a Teferi, and he had to get up to 9 mana before he could even safely cast Teferi. And even then, because he had to Settle the Wreckage to go with it. And then even at that point, he lost because a Spell Queller had shown up. It's just so hard for him to resolve that spell when his opponent sees it coming. And here we go, Luke on the play here. Both players on 7s. Starts off with Steam Vents. And we'll see Noble Hierarch out of Charlie. Luke will set up with Search for Azcanta.
So far, so good for both players. Kind of best possibles to this point. And we'll see where things get interesting from here. Big check for turn 2, Geist of St. Traft. Draw Skull Captain.
Yeah, I was going to say, not Geist, but Captain. You see the gold card and you think, I might be a Geist of St. Traft.
Right. I see the sorcery speed mana. I'm like, oh, he did it. But not quite.
So, much like in the Tempo v Control matchups, you want to see the Bant Spirits, the Bant player, set up some kind of threat and then just start chipping with the threat to force action. Is this enough of a board, or is Charlie going to have to put something else on?
Given that Draw Skull Captain becomes a really big problem if there's ever a second Captain or a Phantasmal Image, and given that both decks play so well at instant speed, there's a lot of incentive for Luke just to fire off some removal spell at the Captain right now.
Luke's going to main phase of Vendilion Click. He sees Collected Company, second Drog Skull Captain, Mausoleum Wanderer, and 2 lands.
Given the proactive Vendilion Click here, this is about the most disgusting hand he could possibly see. He can either take the second Captain, which he really wants to because double Drog Skull Captain means all the Spirits are going to have hexproof until he presents a sweeper, or he can take Collected Company, about Charlie's most powerful card in the matchup.
Yeah, he goes for Captain, and it feels bad to see a Collected Company and not take it.
Right.
But that's what's going to happen. Draws Charlie into what ends up being another Mausoleum Wanderer.
And this is a little bit of an interesting decision point for Charlie. You can cast the Collected Company main phase. You have your Jeskai opponent tapped out. They clearly valued your Draw Skull Captain, which kind of feels like they don't have a sweeper. But you do have to pay mind to the fact that they can draw a sweeper. The Search for Azcanta makes Luke's odds of finding a sweeper on the following turn more likely.
Yeah, in a way, because Luke has played a 3-1 flyer, Charlie will have to commit something else to this board. And maybe the thing he needs to commit is the Collected Company.
Right. Yeah, finding another Noble Hierarch even, certainly another Lord gives him a good attack on this turn.
Yeah, that one's interesting. He did draw a Noble Hierarch this turn. So if he doesn't want to play the Company, he can just make the Noble Hierarch.
That's not the worst, and he does already have a 4th land rolled up. You see him thinking about what to fetch here. He will have 4 mana on this turn.
Are you worried about, if you make the Noble Hierarch, how much are you concerned then about Electrolyze getting you?
If you don't make another Draw Skull Captain, Electrolyze is kind of already a problem.
Sure, it already kills your threat.
Right. I'm pretty inclined to main phase Collected Company because you have a window where you know it will resolve.
Okay.
And then it also, if Luke has a sweeper, he's kind of forced to do it now. And he doesn't have the best leftovers, but he still can top deck something pretty significant.
Yeah, unless this company bricks, this should force a sweeper. And he's actually going to go for it looks like a more held back play. We're going to see Noble Hierarch number 2. Maybe a Mausoleum Wanderer. Maybe not. This is just going to be a swing with the captain. It exalts up to 4/4, Luke to 15. Yeah, turns out Charlie not ready to main phase that company into this board. He will add a Wanderer, however, to protect against, well, most spells. It's a 2/2.
Right. It really does not want to see a Supreme Verdict on this board, though. As we know, Supreme Verdict's gotten a bit less popular. Luke only playing 1 copy.
Right. Remember seeing that, feeling that as well yesterday when Luke's playing against Zan Sayed, thinking that he just wanted to be drawing that Supreme Verdict every turn.
Right.
If the Spirits deck, both Bant and Azorius, continue to increase in popularity, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jeskai switch back over to more verdicts.
You know, or you might see more of the Azorius control featuring 3-4 copies of Terminus.
Exactly.
Terminus plays pretty well against Mausoleum Wanderer. Can't get caught by a Spell Queller.
Yeah, also when we see Selfless Spirit in a lot of these decks, it gives you extra value there too.
Right.
Luke chooses to attack with Vendilion Click. Can't really block. Charlie down to 12, and now we'll see Path to Exile. Luke has 2 mana up, so Charlie can't catch this with the Wanderer. So that's just going to work.
He's giving some consideration to the Wanderer. I don't think that there's really any value in that.
Right. I mean, if you tap Luke out here, then you can be sure your company resolves.
Yeah, that would be the argument. You know, currently, he already has a good attack.
Right.
He'll be able to have Mausoleum Wanderer left over. I like that he decided against it.
Because he has a Horizon Canopy in play and a second one in hand, I also like getting this basic land a fair amount, because then it allows him to sacrifice those canopies.
Right, he won't miss the mana. More shots at more business like that Collected Company.
Luke, willing to you play Hallowed Fountain untapped here to go to 13.
Wonder if this
And
means
just
Electrolyze.
passes. Yeah, what's your read there? Your opponent just shocked to 13 and said go. Certainly something's going on. Maybe a Snapcaster?
It's the first on-tap white source. Yeah, so it could be Snapcaster Mage for Path to Exile, which just kind of cleanly deals with the Mausoleum Wanderer. It's either that or Electrolyze. I suppose it could be Lightning Bolt plus Path to Exile out of the hand. It looks like I did just spot a Snapcaster Mage at the front of Luke's hand, though.
All right. Back over to Charlie's side we go. His hand is a Collected Company, a Forest, a Horizon Canopy, and a Mausoleum Wanderer. There's a 5th one hiding in there. He'll make Horizon Canopy. Starts with, looks like he has 2 Mausoleum Wanderers in hand. He'll play one of them. That will pump the first one. Now Charlie attacks, so it's a 2/2, exalts up to a 4/4. So we'll send Luke down to 9. And conveniently, Charlie has left up Collected Company mana.
Yeah, so Luke can fire up Snapcaster Mage for Path to Exile on this. That second Wanderer would probably just counter that. And then Charlie's in a spot where he has this backup Collected Company to force more action out of Luke.
Yeah, it looks like Luke's hand is 2 Snapcasters and a Path to Exile. So when all's said and done, Luke has 4 Path to Exiles available here, which isn't bad. It's going to need some follow-up.
Right. Yeah, given that he's facing down already pretty significant threats combined with Noble Hierarch plus a Collected Company, he has a lot of removal spells, but he'll need good draw steps as well.
So here's the swing. It's for 4. And Luke not ready to go to 9. Maybe he is. He's kind of going back and forth on this Snapcaster Mage, and he eventually decides to take the 4 damage. He drops down to 9.
He's already shocked for the Hallowed Fountain, so I'd expect to see the Snapcaster Mage in some time. I think part of what's going on is that he knows that the Mausoleum Wanderer that Charlie just cast covers the Path to Exile here if Charlie cares about it, which he probably does. And if you go for the Path to Exile and say Charlie just casts Spell Queller, you're taking an additional damage because the Mausoleum Wanderer gets +1/+1 for that extra spirit.
This is interesting. So I want to talk about what's happening here. I think Luke's trying to counter race. He took the damage and he plays Snapcaster Path, but he's not going to path the Wanderer. He's going to path the untapped Wanderer, which removes a blocker here.
Yeah, this is totally reasonable. He does have a good amount of power on the battlefield. Charlie's down to 12.
I guess a way to force Charlie to cast that Collected Company is to make a play like this. And now in response to this path, we are going to see Charlie pull the trigger on Collected Company.
Look for something like that. One of Rattle Chains, a Spell Queller.
Yeah. Well, Spell Queller, Luke would be pretty happy to see.
Right.
It would reset.
Drogskull Captain would be really good.
Well, he's got... Is that Drogskull Captain Selfless Spirit?
I believe it is. That is a nice mix.
Ooh.
That covers not only just this
That's
spell right
everything.
here. Now the spirit targeted by the path has hexproof. And then the Selfless Spirit covers against the Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, Spirit covers against Verdict. Drogskull protects everybody else. If you try to kill Drogskull Captain, you use 2 Wanderers that are 2/2s to protect the Captain.
Right.
This is...
Easy blocks and the Vendilion Click available as well.
Yeah, Luke needs Terminus. No, that doesn't work. Bant's so hard to play control against. This is miserable.
I am liking this Bant Spirits deck the more and more I watch it.
Yeah. Luke picked up Supreme Verdict. But Selfless Spirit came by. An attack with Snapcaster Mage is going to be the play here from Luke. So he has to get Drogskull. Like, how many things have to happen before the Supreme Verdict does anything? Ugh.
Yeah, so you have to fight through the Selfless Spirit, which is currently protected by the Drogskull Captain, and what you fight over that with is kind of protected by the Mausoleum Wanderers. There is a lot to fight through here.
So he paths the Captain, which if Charlie wants to save the Drogskull Captain, it will cost him both his Mausoleum Wanderers.
That's probably not worth it.
Might be. He's got a third one in his hand.
Let's see, how much is he attacking for as is? So if you sacrifice both of them, then you still have 5 in the air with your 2 creatures. There's a Vendilion Click blocker, though, so you probably just shove with 1 with the Noble Hierarchs. Given that you're kind of already priced into a Noble Hierarch attack, the Lord seems of less consequence, and I do like that he let this go here.
Yeah, he lets it go. Gets that other basic out of his deck. So my guess is that Luke's plan here is to at some point use a Snapcaster to at least attempt to path to exile a Selfless Spirit. I guess the Wanderers are back to 1/1s, so maybe that's going to be possible. And then at the end of the day, it's Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, so he won't be able to get the path through just yet, because currently he would have to tap out for Snapcaster Path to Exile.
Right, so just one Wanderer would take care of it.
Right.
Back on Charlie's side we go. He's going to start, I think, by drawing off this Horizon Canopy. His hand has 2 lands and a Wanderer right now. Now he has the Supreme Phantom. That's going to help a lot.
Yeah, that's a strong one. Turns the Wanderers into Spell Pierces minimally.
So here is Mausoleum Wanderer from Charlie. This might be lethal, Ryan. That's a pump, and here's Supreme Phantom. That's going to make all these Wanderers 4/4s.
Yeah.
And that means this is a swing for 11.
So attacking with these 3 creatures is going to force that Vendilion Click to block.
Sure.
He's kind of thinking about whether he wants to subject the Selfless Spirit to combat here.
Yeah. I don't think I'd want to,
Yeah,
and that's smart for
I
him
like
not to.
the restraint.
Here's a swing. It's for 8.
Yeah, like trying to piece together things that Jeskai can do to break all of this up in just 1 turn cycle. And given that's not the case, and Charlie pretty easily has lethal on the following turn, I like this attack a lot.
Snapcaster Mage, Path to Exile from Luke. He's going to try to go for Selfless Spirit. That's going to go ahead and trade with the Mausoleum Wanderer.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah. And Luke's facing down 8 points of damage. See if he wants to throw a chump block in there. He's got the Supreme Verdict. Still not sure if that works. Chump block means Luke goes down to 5. As Kanta will mill over to Fairy, Luke will draw a card. It's a land, and Selfless Spirit is going to protect Charlie's team. Luke shows that he had it, but he can't get by it. And for the third time this tournament, we see Bant Spirits with the win. Charlie Salvador now defeating Luke Purcell in addition to Ben Nikolic, improves 2